Michael, we are live and you may begin whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. All right, welcome to tonight's full design review board meeting of October 18th, 2022. I have a quorum of, I believe, 7 out of 9 members. I know we're at a quorum at least. I think we're at 7. And we will kick off tonight's agenda with, is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
There's a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right. Motion passes. Are we have any last meeting minutes, LaShonda?
Yes, we have September the 20th, September 27th, October 4th, and October the 11th.
All right, so I hear a motion to approve September 20th, September 27th, October 10th, and October 11th meeting minutes.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I hear a second. All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. All right. I'm looking for any general member comments that is not in pertaining to any application tonight. I know we have some general member comments on an information only docket tonight. So I'd like, if you are a general member comment for that application specifically, I'm referencing Sunrise Valley Drive. You will get your chance to speak after they present. That way we can kind of hear the open member comments in context with it. But if you have any other general member comments, please let me know and we can hear from you before the meeting gets started. All right, I don't see anybody. So with that, we can jump right into the agenda tonight. First up on the application, we have Fairfax County Department of Transportation, who is presenting on some sidewalk extensions, I believe.
Yes.
Is a rep from Fairfax County here?
Yes, asking Sonia. She's unmuted. Sonia, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can, Sonia. So you just want to walk us through, this is an information meeting, so feel free to take the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sonia Shanach with Fairfax County Department of Transportation, project manager for Sunrise Valley Drive walkway from Western Parkway to Soapstone Drive. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to present this project to this board. Before I start, I would like to introduce some of our county staff. I have here with me Todd Minix, our division chief. I have Nicole Wynand, our bicycle coordinator. And I see Nagin, she's also with our capital project. I also have our consultant, Matt Kaiser and Andy Moy. Can you just show your hand? If you're not, that's fine. I am going to start my presentation with a brief description of the project purpose, and then I'm gonna go into detail with the proposed improvements. I will take any question at the end of the presentation. Next slide, please. So Sunrise Valley Drive walkway is a Western Metro Rail Access Group recommended project. This project will construct the missing segments and also upgrade existing bike and pedestrian facility from Western Parkway to Soapstone Drive along the north side of Sunrise Valley Drive. On this slide is an aerial photograph of the existing bike and pedestrian facility. The blue line, yes, The blue line on this aerial shows the recently constructed bike and pedestrian facility as part of the new development. On the right, the blue line shows an 8 feet buffer strip for a 10 feet concrete walkway installed as part of the Reston Heights development. On your right, the blue line shows a 10 feet asphalt cycle track with 6 feet walkway that were installed as part of the multifamily residential development. The orange line shows the existing 8 feet asphalt walkway that are in good working condition. In the middle of the aerial photograph, you can see the 8 feet asphalt walkway east of the hotel entrance. On your right is also an existing 8 feet asphalt walkway with 2 feet grass buffer west of Association Drive. The green line shows our proposed development in 3 segments. The first segment starts at Reston Parkway on your left. It will be a 10 feet asphalt walkway with variable buffer, which will connect to the Reston Heights facility. We are also going to upgrade the existing curb ramps and install new curb ramps shown in green at Colts Neck intersection. The second segment is by the hotel entrance, where we're replacing the 5 feet section with a 10 feet wide concrete section. The green line in the middle, it's by the hotel entrance, where we're replacing the 5 feet with the 10 feet. On your right is our third segment, where we are installing a new crossing at Indian Ridge Road. We're also installing a 10 feet walkway between the entrance to the commercial office building and with a 5 feet buffer. And lastly, we are replacing an existing 4 feet section west of Soapstone Drive with an 8 feet asphalt walkway. Once complete, this will provide a continuous pedestrian and bike facilities along this corridor. It will also provide connection to the metro rail station shown on your left on the inset, on the top left corner of the inset. Users will be able to walk and bike using this new facility, and will be able to cross Reston Parkway and use the existing facility along Sunrise Valley Drive, and then Edmund Haley Drive, which has a bike lane and a wide sidewalk to the metro station. Next slide, please. So as I just mentioned, we are going to install a 10 feet wide walkway within the missing segments along the north side of Sunrise Valley Drive. We are also going to upgrade existing facility to make sure they're at least 8 feet wide to accommodate both bike and pedestrian traffic. Below is a typical section of the 10 feet walkway. We are providing a variable buffer between the existing carbon gutter section and the new walkway. We are also including additional safety improvement, including elimination of Sunrise Valley Drive and Colts Neck Road intersection. We are also including a high visibility crosswalk within our project scope. An 8 feet wide refuge island will be installed at Indian Ridge Road, which I will show later in detail, for pedestrian crossing multi-lane Sunrise Valley Drive. Throughout the project, all the curb ramps will be widened, and we'll make sure that they are ADA compliant. We're also improving the bus stop within our project limit. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the proposed design plan for the 10 feet walkway at Reston Parkway. The walkway will be an asphalt walkway and is shown in green, shaded in green. The orange and red lines are the existing utilities in this area. You can see there is lots of utilities, and I have counted at this intersection at the corner there's as many as 30 different lines at this location. The light browns represent the existing office building. The 10 feet walkway is a curb abutted on the west of the entrance to the office building at Coles Neck. And this is to avoid, reduce utility impact. Initially, we proposed an 8 feet section on the west of this entrance, entrance to the office building, to avoid the relocation of signal pole and cabinet of the picture that you can see at the bottom left of this slide. We updated our design. Now it is a 10 feet walkway section based on the recommendation that we received from Supervisor's Office, Reston Association, Transportation Committee, as well as Fairfax Bike and Fairfax Association for Better Biking. We will have to adjust the signal pole and the cabinet to accommodate a wider ramp at this intersection. On the west of this entrance, we are providing a wider buffer, and also we're going to install flexible pavement and use other tree saving techniques to save the trees as shown on the picture at the top. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the continuation of that 10 feet wide asphalt walkway all the way to the gas station. We are making sure our ramp aligns with the existing facility at Reston Heights. The walkway is again curb abutted is because to avoid the relocation of the transformer that you can see the picture at the bottom of this slide. On the top of the slide is a Google Street view of the gas station. We are removing their second entrance on the east. Next slide, please. So this shows the proposed improvement. That's the second segment by the hotel complex. When Reston Heights built their 10 feet facility, it does not continue all the way to the hotel entrance. It is a 5 feet section, as you can see from the picture on the top by the handholds. We are replacing that 5 feet section with a 10 feet concrete wide walkway. We're also widening the existing ramp so that it can serve both the crosswalk on the hotel entrance and also the crosswalk on the west leg of Sunrise Valley Drive. We're also improving the existing bus shelter pad and the bus loading pad to make sure that they meet the current VDOT design standard. Next slide, please. So this shows the proposed plan improvement at Indian Ridge Road. So this is the third segment. We are installing a new crosswalk at this location. This is going to be a high visibility crosswalk. We are also going to install a wide refuge island. It's going to be an 8 feet wide refuge island. We're also improving the curb ramp at Indian Ridge Road. We understand Huntersville Cluster Association had been requesting for this crossing for a long time. Below is a picture of Sunrise Valley Drive. If you scroll below, this is a picture of Sunrise Valley Drive at Indian Ridge Road. As you can see, this is a 6-lane section, including the right lane to the office complex and a left lane to the to Indian Ridge Road. We are proposing to remove this turn lane for a shorter crosswalk width. This will provide a safer crossing. We have prepared a traffic study which supports the removal of this turn lane. This will also allow us, if you scroll up a little bit. So the removal of this turn lane will allow us to align our new crosswalk with the existing crosswalk, as you can see on the top of the picture, top of the slide, the picture on the top of the slide. And this will be an unsignalized crosswalk. That's the reason we want to make sure it is safe. Next slide, please. So this is our last segment of improvement where we're replacing the existing 4-feet section, as you can see from the picture below, with an 8 feet wide asphalt walkway all the way to the Association Drive. This will provide a continuous 8-feet section to Association Drive. You can see the picture at the bottom. This is an existing 8 feet asphalt, and then we're replacing that 4-feet section. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the location of the new light pole at Colts Neck Road intersection. We are proposing new lighting to illuminate the crossing at this intersection. The lighting fixtures and pole will match the current Reston area lighting fixtures. The light pole is going to be dark bronze finish with smooth tapered pole. The fixture is going to be a shoebox style with LED luminaire, and it will also have dark bronze finish. We are coordinating with our streetlight division and also Dominion for the lighting design. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the proposed high visibility crosswalk within our project scope, in addition to the high visibility crosswalk at Indian Ridge Road. On your left are the high visibility crosswalk at the Reston Parkway on the west leg of Sunrise Valley Drive, and the high visibility crosswalk at Colts Neck intersection. We are also installing 8 APS pedestrian signal for the 4 crossing at this intersection. On your right are the proposed high visibility crosswalk on the driveway entrances all the way from Reston Parkway to the Reston Heights development. And the bottom is the proposed high visibility crosswalk at the hotel entrance. Just want to mention that the existing sidewalk in some, crosswalk are like standard 2 parallel crosswalks. We are improving the existing crosswalk with a high visibility crosswalk in some areas, and also installing new high visibility crosswalk. Next slide, please. So we will need land rights for our proposed improvements. This slide shows the type of temporary and permanent easement that will be needed for this project. The blue line shows the existing right-of-way. The trail will be maintained by the county. So therefore, we will need a permanent trail easement for the perpetual maintenance of the trail, which is shown in purple line. The green line shows the proposed grading, and the lighter blue line or turquoise line is the temporary construction easement for the grading. Once the construction is complete, this temporary easement will go away. We will also need side distance easement, which is not shown on this plan, at Indian Ridge Road for the new crossing, and some perpetual street easement by the Association Drive to relocate some of the road, existing road sign. Next slide, please. So we are finishing up our final design. We should be complete the design by next month. We already have started our plat and the utility coordination. We will initiate our land acquisition once plat is complete. We should start the land acquisition process by winter of 2022 and expect to complete the land acquisition by winter of 2023. Initiation of construction bid advertisement is fall 2024. Once the utility relocation is complete, we are expecting to start the construction by winter of 2024 with scheduled completion by fall of 2025. This concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any question or comments.
Great, thank you, Sonia. Let me, before I go around the board members to ask any questions, I know there was a couple public member comments that wanted just to kind of raise some questions. Staff, do we have a list of those people?
We don't have a list per se. We can ask if anyone has a comment. I do know that maybe Bob Petrine may have comments.
Yes, good
Bob,
evening.
are you on?
I believe I'm on.
Yes.
My name is Bob Petrine. I live at 2503 Foxcroft Way. And I'd like to thank you very much for the presentation. It was very helpful to understand the extent of the project. I'd like to ask, how does FCDOT plan to follow the development guidelines for Reston TSA, since this is part, at least a portion of the project is in the TSA area, and specifically related to Chapter 6J, which is on trees and planting, which was adopted by the board by vote back in 2018. Tree cover is an especially important element of Reston's environment, and since it's addressed in the guidelines, I'd like to understand what you plan to do to comply, or at least respond to the guidelines. Thank you.
So this has been discussed with our supervisor's office, and we took this project to our planning and development. We understand there is a tree planting guideline. This is why we are trying to keep all the trees, existing trees. And we have also looked into if there is any way we can install trees within the buffer area that we have. As you've seen, there's a lot of utilities in the buffer area, and it's going to be within the sight distance, sight line. So we looked into it. So that's the reason we are trying to save the existing trees as much as possible.
Great, thank you. LaShonda, is there anybody else?
No one that signed up, but if anyone has a comment or would like to speak, could you please raise your hand and we can acknowledge you? Going once.
I've got a question.
Do you have a question as a DRB member or as a resident, Brian?
Oh, DRB member, sorry.
No hands are raised.
Yeah, sorry, we'll get to you, Brian. Hold on. All right, so let's move on to board members. So Brian, since you want to jump in there, if you want to ask Sonia any questions, have any comments, take it away.
Yeah, Sonia, I just had a question about the crossing at Indian Ridge Road, and I definitely appreciate closing the turn lane on the north side. This is still, I mean, a very wide intersection without a light, and so I'm wondering if you all have considered putting in like a flashing light system for pedestrians, similar to how you've done at on Soapstone Drive at Ridge Heights, where before a pedestrian crosses, they hit the button and get like a flashing light signal. Just because, especially if you're going west on Sunrise Valley, you know, cars are coming down that hill pretty fast, and then in the other direction, they're coming around a bend. So I'm just curious if you all have considered adding something like that.
I think initially we looked at RRFB. It's like a rapid rectangular flashing beacon light. I'm not sure that it warrants at this location, and probably that's the reason we are not going forward with that RFB. But we will look into that if there's any way we can incorporate any kind of additional measure at this crossing. Todd, you're
Brian, do you have anything else?
can you unmute Todd Minix?
Yes, we're asking him to unmute now.
Okay.
Todd,
All
you're
right, there we
unmuted.
go. There we go. Finally got it. As Sonia noted, VDOT has guidelines on where we can install those RRFBs or even hawk signals. And again, they have to be justified based on the pedestrian count that is out there. It may not warrant it right now, as Sonia noted, but we could monitor it. And if it does, the pedestrian volume does increase, we can potentially go back and add it later.
Great. Brian, did you have any other questions, comments?
No, I'm all done. Thanks.
Great. Sarah, did you have any questions, comments for Sonia? Sarah, are you still there?
I have
John,
no
did you have any
questions.
questions? Oh, sorry, Sarah. Yes.
No.
John, did you have any questions?
No.
Elena, did you have any questions? Guess Elena on, right? Or did she?
No, she's on.
There she is. There she is.
Oh, and thank you for the presentation.
She doesn't have any questions.
Great. Jim, did you have any questions?
Is there a landscape and tree plan forthcoming?
So as I just explained, we looked into that. For now, there's so many utilities out there. There's no room for any planting. And that's the reason we took an extra step step to save the existing trees. This entire project, we are only removing 8 trees. One of the tree is very poor condition, is almost dead. We are installing flexible pavement, like I said, by the Cold Snack intersection to save those existing trees. That has never done in the county before. So that's going to be the first flexible pavement. We are trying to save the existing trees, but there's not enough buffer in some areas. In the other areas, there's so much utilities. Like I said, it will be in the sight line. So we looked into it. There's no plan at this time for landscaping.
But there will be like a tree save plan.
So that's what, yeah, we have an certified arborist on board. They are working with us to save the existing trees.
Thank you.
Mike B.
Just a general question in terms of material selections, et cetera, for the, wear surface of the walkways. I kind of see in here that we're going back and forth between asphalt and then concrete. Have we settled on those things yet? Understanding that there may be some choices along the corridor. Are we working towards a more cohesive feel from one end to the other? Just curious to get your thoughts on that at this point.
So this is basically an asphalt walkway. The only area we are doing concrete is to be consistent with what Reston Heights development installed. That's the only area. It's going to be a concrete section to continue their 10-feet walkway, concrete.
Okay.
The other areas is going to be asphalt.
Asphalt.
Yes.
With the expectation that the ADA compliant ramp areas, obviously okay, fair enough.
Oh, yes, yes.
And
Thank you.
Sonia mentioned in that one area where we're bulging out to try to save the trees, that is what we call a flexible asphalt. It's a different mix. It's sort of rubberized to try to allow to save those trees in those areas. So
Kind of a permeable mix, if you
yes, as permeable as we can do and still have a durable surface. Yeah,
Understood.
it's actually
Thank
a
you.
test section for us. So
But this will look as an asphalt section. You won't see
yeah,
the difference.
it'll look like asphalt. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Bruce, do you have anything?
Just following up the point that was made about saving the existing trees. I understood it, that was the effort, and that it's difficult to plant new trees. How about replacing existing trees if they're lost in the construction? Is that part of the plan?
So where we're replacing is by the gas station. And like I said, we looked into any areas that if there's any place to plant any new tree. We are not able to do, we're not going to be able to do that because of, where the property is. That's the only area that we are taking out the trees mostly. There's like the 4 trees is by the gas station. And between the buffer, it's a variable buffer, and between the buffer and the road, there's utilities. And like I said, it's going to be in the sight line. The other areas are curb abutted, so where we're trying to save the trees, but we'll look in again if there is any space. I think we looked into it. I don't think there is any place to put the trees that we are taking out. And like I said, in total, it's going to be 8 trees. With one is almost dead, and I think it's dead right now. But so it's basically 7 trees that we are taking out for this entire project. And had we gone with a different alignment, it would take like 50 trees at least. So we looked into different alignment and tried to save the existing trees.
And I appreciate that the clarification. I just wanted to make sure that my question was clearer. For those that you are intending to save the existing, if they're damaged in the construction, I was asking if those will be replaced.
Oh, so what we do, so those trees are basically not within the right of way or like at the right of way line or on private property. So what we do, we compensate for the trees to the property owner. And it is up to the property owner if they want to plant it or just use it for a different purpose.
Thanks for the clarification.
And I just have a couple questions. So staff, if we go to slide 5. So for these trees that we're removing from the gas station property, has there been, since you have to go through an easement process already, because it looks like these trees are currently on, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from the easement lines, it looks like these trees are on this private property currently. Have we looked at not relocating the tree, but giving compensation for the tree, and maybe we can have a requirement to plant trees on that parcel somewhere else? I understand that they cannot fit where you are proposing them, but maybe elsewhere on the parcel to help keep part of the canopy, there might be room to put some back. Is that something that can, I know you said you do have compensation for trees that potentially would die, but what about these trees that's part of the compensation package almost that you're giving to the property owner?
Yes. So we have not started that discussion with the property owner yet. It starts once we finalize our plats, and then our land acquisition agent, and I think Sarah, I'm sorry to introduce. So Sarah Guy is our land agent for this project. So once I give her the plat, she will start the assessment, right? Sarah, you want to explain how you do the process?
Yeah, so I actually have been out to the property several times just to see where the impact is going to be, in addition to looking at the plans and just kind of getting a feel for the area. When I make the offer to the gas station, we will be compensating for the loss of trees, or offering instead of compensation to replace them with the trees of their choice based on a list. So short answer is yes, they will be compensated for the loss of those trees. How they choose to rectify that is going to be more of a personal decision based on what that company wants to do.
Yeah. And I'll just add that we can't legally bind them to replacing those trees once we've compensated them for that, for the loss of those trees.
I don't know if Tony's on, but I believe I, as the DRB, can, because if they came to me and said, we want to cut down 4 trees on my property, I can tell them no.
Yes, but we're not DRB.
Somewhere else.
No, we
I
aren't
understand
the DRB.
that. So I guess understood. Yeah. So what I'm saying, there might be a way that I can parlay it together with a requirement on our end because I think the only reason why these are the 4 trees that I'm kind of most concerned about, really, just because that gas station, I know there's been complaints about the lighting of it and just the lighting going across the golf course there. And once we take away this canopy, the lights are going to be even more of an impact to the surrounding neighborhood. And I think that's where I'm most concerned about it. I believe Tony was raising his hand that's our legal counsel, so maybe he can weigh in on this.
Fortunately, they're not before the DRB, so you can't unilaterally impose something on someone that's not in front of the DRB.
Correct. I'm not, but I guess theoretically that's private property that's under the RA guidelines, and that if they were to want to take down trees, it would need to go through us. They would be co-applicants when the application comes back before us, correct?
Yes.
I believe we've done this before on like North Shore Drive and stuff.
They would have to be co-applicants, and then you could do something with it then. But right now, they're not before the DRB.
Oh, Yeah,
So
I
they'll give you
understand. I
an
mean, this is
opportunity
information
to-
only. I'm just giving feedback for what potentially, would be nice to see, and part of their compensation package when they're, talking with the landowner, if they're referencing, that, DRB is looking for potentially replacement of that tree canopy. So I'm just throwing it out there as a thought to be considered. Because I believe we did something similar with North Shore Drive, with a couple of the neighborhoods. I want to say IDEO Cluster was one of them when you guys did your whole North Shore sidewalk project. That they were having some big trees coming down, and you guys were able to work with their compensation to kind of get some of those trees replanted on their property. Now, their property is much bigger than the gas station, for example. There may not be as much other space available in the gas station. I'm not as familiar with, how much left room is there, but it's just a thought process to kind of think through. Otherwise, I think it's great. I'm excited for you guys to try some FlexiPave or flexible pavement. I know FlexiPave is one brand that I'm aware of, but it hopefully will work and will be something that you guys be able to implement in some other places. Does any other members have any other comments or anything? All right. Well, we appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to kind of your official application down the road.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to application G, which is 1675 Reston Parkway, Suite J and K. Got a sign application, I believe, or an appeal of a sign application.
That is correct.
Did you have the
Daniel?
appellant here?
Daniel, if you're on, could you raise your hand? Ask Mr. Lowe or Mr. Pence. You can, if you're calling in by phone, you can unmute yourself by dialing *6. Did you want to defer to the end? I could give them a call. I see someone on, last 3 digits is 519. And they're not muting. I don't have anyone else.
Okay. Well, since it's an appeal, I can't really accept the application unless they're here to appeal it. So I'll make a motion to defer it to the end of the agenda and give them some time to get on. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. And we have a first and a second. All those in favor of amending the agenda, say aye.
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 Aye. All right. Jumping over to 1632 Autumnwood Drive. Also an appeal.
I saw Michael on earlier. Michael or Keith?
Hi, can you hear me? This is Michelle, actually.
Oh, Michelle.
Yep.
Hi,
Yeah,
Michelle.
so we had, how are you?
Well, good. Just 1 second before you get started. I just want to, this is an appeal. So what first we have to do before we get into the application is you just need to show us that a misapplied guideline of ours, or that there's new information that is available for us. So if you want to just make sure that you tackle one of those items, and then we'll hear the application if we accept the appeal. Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you were just saying.
So to accept an appeal, we have to either have had a guideline misapplied that you would prove to us that this guideline was misapplied, or you would need to have new information that wasn't there when the original application was reviewed. Because this is an appeal, which means it was denied at some point.
I did send in some additional information on how we were going to rectify, because I think the problem initially we were trying to replace the front stoop, and I think we were doing flagstone. The walkway was in brick. We didn't really get a lot of clear information. We were told that it wasn't a continuous design. So my assumption is that you would like the brick walkway to also be flagstone. So that's our proposal. We have
So
a
you're
flagstone. We have a
So let's say your new
flagstone
information is you're changing your material, basically.
We're changing what's already there, yeah.
All right. So the new
Our stoop
information is that
already
there's
flagstone.
the new information is that they're going to change their material from the original application. So is there a motion to accept the appeal? I will motion to accept the appeal.
Michael, may I ask prior to the motion whether or not there's anybody who from the DRB who saw this previously that shouldn't be voting on the acceptance of the appeal?
Oh, that's a good point. I have not seen it, so I know it wasn't me. But staff, who can't vote on the appeal?
It's Bruce, Sarah, and Jim.
Could I just
Bruce,
clarify? Could I just clarify that I was out sick that night and I did not hear that appeal. I did not hear that application. I wasn't there. So does that? So I wasn't part of the panel that voted on this previously.
So,
Yeah, then you should be able to vote. So it's just Jim and Sarah. Is that correct?
Michael,
See,
can we have some discussion on this? I think the way I read it wasn't really an appeal, it's a new application.
well, it will be once we get through this. It basically, there's new information. I just have to go by the book that I got to accept the appeal. And so we just have to vote on it, and then we'll all be able to talk about it with the applicant. So there's a motion. There was some further discussion. Is there anybody who wants to second the acceptance of the appeal?
I'll second.
All right. So Elaine is seconding my motion to accept the appeal. All those in favor, remember Jim and Sarah can't vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any against? Any abstentions? Would be Jim and Sarah. All right, so we'll accept the appeal. So Michelle, sorry, just to get through that. So walk me through fully, because there's a lot of pictures and I was trying to understand. So your existing stoop is flagstone, and now your sidewalk, you're trying to put flagstone back, or put flagstone on that. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll replace the brick because from what I was told, the reason that we were not approved was because it wasn't a continuous design. I think I'm using the correct wording. So I took that as you need it to be all uniform. So all flagstone, not flagstone and brick. So that's why we're not proposing to replace the brick that's currently there with flagstone to match the stoop. And then we, as part of our original proposal, we were having like a little edge along our driveway, which was also going to be in a, I think it's called Unilock. It's also in a slate gray, so it'd all be matching and uniform in color.
Okay. So Jim and Sarah, who were on the original panel, does that sound about right? That there was some sort of brick involved before, that is why you guys disapproved this portion of the project?
I believe so. It was a while ago, and there's been a lot since, but I believe that's accurate. Jim, do you remember the specifics?
Yeah, it seemed it seemed not harmonious. I mean, what they're proposing now seems a lot more like a unified design, if you will.
Yeah, like staff, if you go to slide, like, yeah, there we are. So this brick walkway before was going to be, I guess, staying, and now it's
Correct.
not. Now it's being replaced. Now it's being replaced with something that's similar, slate, flagstone coloring. Okay. And then you have the kind of slate border along the driveway. All the rear yard stuff has already been approved. It's just this front area. Okay. So does anybody, I think Elena, you had potentially a question you wanted to ask?
Yeah, it's moot. I would say that this isn't really an appeal. This is a new It's a new.
Correct. Now it's a new application.
No, I don't have any other questions, the way I read it was exactly as the way you described it. Now we're going to have harmonious materials used throughout the front yard.
Yeah, great. John, did you have anything to add?
No, I believe I understand fully what they're doing. The stoop is in place in flagstone or simulated flagstone. They want to replace the rest of the brick to match that. And I think will be a nice approach.
Yeah, and I think they actually are resurfacing the stoop with new stone as well. That's going to kind of tie in.
Yeah.
That's correct, Michelle, right?
Yeah, because the existing stoop was deteriorating and falling apart.
Okay.
That's what I was
We
going
just
to say.
wanna-
It looks like it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The original application was to replace the stone on the stoop. And so now that was denied because of the brick, but now it's all going to be replaced with similar material. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
Brian, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess my only question, Michelle, was whether or not it looks like there's two different materials that you're proposing. One material for, like, I guess the horizontal walkway, and then a different material for the kind of addition next to the driveway. Was there a particular reason to use two different materials there?
I think just because of the size of the material, the border along the driveway was not going to be that wide, and so I think to use the flagstone would have been too wide, I think, for the material. So they proposed using I think it's called Unilock. It kind of looks like flagstone, and it's what we used in the back as well for our patio. And one thing I will note is that I put this in the original documentation for approval. These materials have been used by our neighbors, and they had gone through the DRB approval process. So it's the exact same material that is being used currently by a neighbor in our cul-de-sac. So I don't know if that makes a difference, the fact that it's already been approved for another neighbor.
It always helps. I mean, assuming that it's verifiable, but
And I did submit pictures of the neighbor's property with the original application.
with single family detached homes, as long as it's working with your, design of your house, we like to take overall context, but there's sometimes it's a case by case basis still. So, but it's definitely helpful. So, I think that was a good question, Brian, because I see that now. I guess I didn't really realize that, but I guess it's the driveway shoulder, which it's a sidewalk essentially. It's a 2-foot sidewalk that's going along the right hand side of the driveway. Is that accurate?
I don't believe. I think it's only a foot. Well, it might be a little bit more. I'm not looking at the design actually, but
the drawing. I'm on page 9.
Shorter,
it's saying 77 feet long by 2. I don't even know what this means. 2/3 feet, which I'm assuming is 2 feet 8 inches. If I had to cipher that dimension, it's an odd way to show dimensions. So I'm not exactly sure, but I'm assuming it's 2 feet 8 inches wide is what I'm going with. Does that sound right?
I'm actually just pulling up to my house now. I mean, I can get a document to look at it, but I don't think it's 2 feet wide. It might be 22 inches. I mean, I guess that's almost 2 feet, but that seems wider than what we proposed.
And 77 feet, is that the length of your entire driveway currently?
Yeah, that's the length of our driveway.
Okay. So it's probably your driveway is a little tight right now, and this is kind of how you're going to help widen
exactly.
it without,
right now,
without widening it.
Yeah, because right now, with 2 kids driving, we've got, more cars trying to get in and out of the driveway, and half the time people drive across the grass. So we're proposing just kind of give us a little bit of a border and also kind of create, to your point, like a little bit of a walkway up the drive just to be able to get around the cars. Okay, I'm just looking at it now. All right.
While you confirm that, let me just see if anyone else has any other questions real quick. Mike, did you have any questions?
Nothing for me, sir. Thank you.
Bruce, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Jim, did you have any questions now that we've seen the updated application?
No.
All right. So I don't have any questions minus that width of that driveway border.
Yeah, it does say 2 2/3. I'm looking at it as well.
The drawing on page 17 shows 2.5 by 77.
Okay.
On which page, Cam? You say?
We're pulling it up now, but it looks like it's 2.5 by 77.
2.5 by 77. Okay. Yeah, so we'll just want to clarify exactly what that is. I think, getting closer to 3 feet is a little big, but I do know, with the paver, it may make sense to do a 2 foot 8 inches, and that might be why that was one of the dimensions. It might work out perfectly where you kind of have a nice cohesive design. So I don't want to. I'm sure there was some sort of thought because it's a little bit of a odd dimension request.
Yeah.
So there might be a reason why they did that, size. So what I'll do is I'll put in the motion, we can clarify 2'6" to 2'8", depending on final paver arrangement or something like that.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone have a motion that they want to make? Any discussion that we want?
I'd like to move that we approve the revised design.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. The only thing I would ask is that we just basically say the dimension is anywhere from 2'6" to 2'8" inches based on paver arrangement.
Yep. Module.
Right. Do you accept that amendment, John?
I do.
And Brian, do you accept that as a seconder?
Yes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We've had some further discussion. We had an amendment. All those in favor of the application or of the vote, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? All right. I believe that motion passed. Oh, I think we have 8-0. All right. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Okay. Thank you so much. Can I hop off now,
Okay,
or
nice.
do you need me to
Yep,
stay on?
you're good.
No, we're
You're-
good.
no,
All right.
you're
Thank
good.
you so much.
Yep.
All right. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Approving on
Mike-
to application I.
Michael, we actually have Dan Lowe. He just hopped on while we're waiting for that applicant for application I to jump on.
Okay, so we don't have the applicant for I, but we do have the applicant for G.
Correct.
All right, I'll motion to amend the agenda to move application G back up next. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right. I don't know if I've ever amended a motion on an agenda 2 times. I like it. All right. Daniel Lowe, are you on?
I am, yes.
All right. So I know you jumped on, so I'm just going to explain how an appeal works. So you're appealing an application. So we'll not dive into the nitty gritty, assuming that the appeal is accepted. But you need to prove that a guideline was misapplied or that we have some new information. So approve one of those 2 things, and then we will vote on whether to accept the appeal, and then we will hear the application de novo, which basically just means over again. So take it away.
Well, and not really knowing how this works, I didn't know what I should present or what I should produce either. I don't know why it was turned down in the first place. Kelvin, a 3000 Kelvin color is a orange color. And if you're trying to produce a white sign, you wouldn't use a 3000 Kelvin bulb to produce a white face sign. All the signs that are in the shopping center currently are all white faces. And I can tell you they're not using a 3000 Kelvin bulb to produce that white face sign. If you use the 3000 Kelvin bulb, it would be an orangish color. You can go into any Home Depot or Lowe's and they'll have their little boxes there set up showing you the different colors of Kelvin. It almost seemed like to me that, Kelvin was being looked at as, an intensity or a brightness and not necessarily a color. So again, I just didn't know what or how to appeal something that just didn't make sense to me in the first place.
Okay. Staff, can you pull up, what was this, what was this decision made at, panel or staff or what?
It was made at a panel.
Panel.
And
All right, so what members was it?
Bruce and, I'm sorry, Mike B and Elena.
Mike B and Elena, okay.
Buzz?
So,
I have no recollection of this.
Yeah, I don't recall that either, but
It was probably a vote by acclamation.
ah,
gotcha.
I
So,
would
so
say-
typically what I would say is, sorry, go ahead, Elena.
I would say if this was vote by acclamation, we missed that.
Yeah. So what I would say is I think the misapplied guideline was 3,000 Kelvin is not, that's for site lighting, not for signage. So if we look at our guidelines, Kelvin is not referenced for signs. So I'm going to vote to accept the appeal that we have misapplied a guideline here. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on that? All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Just remember, Elena and Mike B, you cannot vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any against? Any abstentions?
abstain.
We have Elena and Mike B abstaining. All right. So we accept the motion, sir. So we will hear the application over again. So you have a new sign that's going in, correct?
That's correct. We're waiting to produce it until this meeting, but hopefully
All right.
get it moving forward.
Can you show us the sign? Can you walk us through the sign real quick, just so we can make sure that we don't miss anything else on it? I just want to.
Sure.
You could just walk us through what it
we're
looks like,
changing-
what's the size of it, etc.
Yeah, the size is just shy of 13 feet, I think is what it was. It meets the Fairfax County guidelines and the shopping center guidelines.
Is it on a raceway or is it channel set letters?
They are channel set letters, but if you see those ridges on the awning, it has to be placed on at least a small raceway that's going to be painted the same color as that awning, because the individual channel letters won't sit flush on that ridged awning.
Gotcha.
The county has requested, and I don't know if that white box at the bottom where it says we buy, sell, trade electronics, have those colors reversed. So that's our intent, is to reverse those colors, where the background of it will be black and the white, the letters will be white. And that's consistent with the other signs at the shopping center as well.
Okay. And when you say it's black, are you saying it'll match like the awning color or whatever that is, like a black, or is that like a dark bronze? Or
it's a dark brown, so the lettering won't match that. No, it'll be a black. It'll
be a black. Okay.
Yeah. So the
Okay.
words
within white, with white words.
It'll be white words within a black. Correct.
All right, let me go around and see if anyone has any questions on the sign, and then we'll go from there. I swear this center, all the lights are only white. Are there colored signs in this center at all?
There are. NTB has a colored sign. Senor Ramon's Taqueria. The newer locations that have opened have started to add color to their signs, but originally the center was all white channel letters.
The
So,
Home
yeah.
Depot, the Home Depot sign is colored also.
I'm sorry?
The Home Depot sign is an orangish color as well.
Yes, sir. Yeah, but originally, I guess, years ago, I mean, shoot, the bird feeder's been there was there from 1993, I think. It was the original tenant in that space.
Can I just say that at least for myself, when we approved this by acclamation, I totally missed the 3,000 Kelvin. That won't produce a white light sign. He's correct.
I appreciate that. I was a bit, puzzled myself and figured it had to be something because all the white signs in there, they couldn't have been done with a 3,000 Kelvin bulb.
First of all, I apologize for making you come back for that. And, but, there was never any intent to make an orange background to this. And I did go, I'm not remembering this because it was one of those ones that we went by acclamation. I did go do a look-see and I thought, what dummy said it needed to be 3,000 Kelvin? And now I find out it was me. So.
Mistakes happen.
Well, with that all said, I'm okay with, if the landlord's starting to allow colors to come in, we don't have a range, we don't have, 6 colors here. It's just 2 colors, still a simple sign. I'm not in love with the extra lettering down below personally. I don't know how actual readable it is, but I'm only one member, so there's just one comment. Sarah, did you have anything on the side?
No, and just a reminder, the Santini sign is red.
Yeah, I do believe they have their colors up as well. And the location right next door is Pizza Boli. They have a logo that's colored. I think the words are white, but their logo that's in the center is colored as well.
Yep, that's correct, and it's red.
John, did you have anything?
Nope.
Brian, did you have anything else?
No, nothing.
Jim?
No.
Mike B?
Nope. And I echo some of my colleagues' comments there. So.
Bruce?
No.
All right. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted with the reversal of the extra wording underneath more is a black background with white lettering at 6,000 Kelvin so that it appears white. The colors do not change when lit.
Okay. We have a motion. Did somebody second it? I kind of broke up a little bit.
Yes.
Second.
There, a
We have
second.
a couple. Okay. And we have a second. The only person I heard was from Sarah, so I'm going to take that one. So for the record, Sarah seconded it. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. Any against? I'm voting against it mainly because of the little letters. Any abstentions? All right. Motion passes 7-1-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Moving on to back to application I-2524 Barrier Lane. And it is another appeal, I believe, or was it a defer?
It was a deferral. It was an appeal that was deferred.
It was an appeal that was deferred. Okay.
And it was deferred to allow more members to be present to vote.
Deferred to allow more members to vote. Okay. So we still need to accept the appeal.
Correct.
Is what I'm understanding. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Is the applicant? On?
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
Justin.
Just a reminder, to accept an appeal, we just need to have a misapplied guideline or some new information. And then if we accept the appeal, then we will hear the application de novo. So take it away.
Hi, yeah, I'm Justin Reich. We appealed with new information. And then we had the meeting to discuss the appeal, which was deferred to this meeting.
And so what was your new information to
Oh,
remind? We have a
sure.
lot
Yeah,
of new
sorry
board
about that.
members,
This
so
is my
it'll just be good to present it again
yeah,
because
of
we have
course.
almost a full board here. So
Great, wonderful. Well, first off, thank you, and thanks for the time. And my wife did the first two, but we have a young baby, so I'm doing this one. So the new information, and we're new to Reston. We bought this house in February and not from the area, so we were just pretty ignorant of quite a few things. So that's definitely our fault. But the new info is the actual board on board fences on our street. We have 12 homes, and of those 12, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that of those 6, 5 had entire board on board enclosed fences, and then 1 has a partial, and then 1 also backs up to the Reston Trail. And our house does back up to the Reston Trail, but also abuts Lawyers Road. And we currently have a board on board fence facing Lawyers Road. And what we would just want to do was extend that fence on the back property line, and then enclose our fence with board on board, and enclose our property, our backyard, with board on board. And I think the issue was that 1, it backs up to the Reston Trail, and then 2, our immediate neighbor has the split rail. And the reason we want to do board on board is you can see the road, and I have some photos and videos I can show as well. You can see the road from the corner of the back corner of our house, and of course of our backyard, excuse me. And it's quite loud, and also we get people walking through our yard all the time, but again, many other people do too. So it's definitely safety. We have 2 young kids, we have a dog, and we just figured we'd want to continue the existing board on board, so as to not take down that board on board, and just enclose our backyard.
okay, so the new information that you're presenting, potentially, I'm just paraphrasing, is that there are other neighbors in the neighborhood that have the board on board fence, and staff, correct me if I'm wrong, I swear last time you guys had like a whole map that showed them which ones were actually approved by RA and which ones were not. And I don't see that.
Have a map, but on page 15 it shows the properties, and we responded to each property and why they had the fence that they had.
Yeah, but where is that now?
We didn't mark it ever. We documented it in a document for the DRB.
In the doc for the DRB.
I know.
So we
But
have a
where is
list.
that document?
It's in the doc that's presented to the DRB. In the actual doc that you get with your applications.
In the Dropbox.
My Word document is what you're saying.
Correct.
Let me go to that real quick, because that's what I wanted to reference, because I'm trying to remember, because this is a deferral of an appeal, which means we didn't accept the appeal, but I believe we gave you guys some time to maybe rethink the design of the fence, but it sounds like that didn't happen. It's still full height all the way around.
Yeah, Michael, just as I think we were the panel, and then when we discussed what you had asked us, what we had discussed, what we had said, that we had proposed a solution that we thought met the guidelines by running the board on board along Lawyer, turning the corner to give some that concern for the privacy, but that continuing in accordance with the guidelines with the split rail, and having split rail. There was already split rail along the neighbor's border, so it would be essentially closing off the corner with board on board, and then continuing to meet the neighbor's split rail. And that's what we had discussed as an alternative. That was not satisfactory, and
Well,
so that we said, well, we gave more opportunity to think about that, and that's why we deferred it.
Gotcha. Okay, that's ringing a bell. So Bruce and James technically can't vote on this appeal, Bruce and Jim. I'm remembering this now. So with this, sir, so what exact new information, but I mean, than what you brought last time, are you bringing this time?
Well, see, this is where I'm a little confused. So we brought the information last time of the neighbors of the homes in our street who have board on board, to say that, okay, you know, we're not just the only home who has board on board, and I get it, it's different home by home and case by case. So we said, well, if we, you know, canvass the neighborhood and see if there are other homes with board on board, that is the new information that we had not included in the original application. And just due to my own ignorance of how all of this works, I don't have any new information for this meeting, because I thought this meeting was simply just because it was deferred, the decision was deferred. My understanding was that this meeting was with a larger, you know, number of board members, that the decision would be finally made on if the appeal is, you know, accepted or not. Because last time there was no decision made. They couldn't come to a decision, I guess.
That is correct. That is correct. It was deferred at the July 19th to allow more members to be present to vote and to hear the appeal request.
So to
Correct. And
clarify,
then we further noted that the applicant wishes to rescind their appeal. They were to resubmit an amended application, which is kind of what Bruce was mentioning with that. We kind of gave some feedback / idea. As of today, we still haven't received an updated application. Okay, gotcha. So to go back to the appeal, I think that the tricky thing is, of the homes that you provided, 2521, 2517, 2515, 2513 all face Lawyers Road. Only half of those homes actually even have approval for the fences that they do have. Just
so
for the
people
record.
just put up the fence without approval.
Exactly. 2015 has no approval. 2513 has no approval. 2511 has no approval. 2410 originally denied, but owner appealed. Appeal was accepted and fence was approved.
Michael, I just want to clarify one thing. When we provide information to the DRB, we can only provide information that we can find. So it's not that there's no approval. There was no approval found for 2521, 2517, 2515, and 2513. However, the design guideline supports fences that are board on board privacy fences to be installed if you're along a public road. 2510, which is the 10 on this picture, did not receive approval. They were denied originally, and they appealed that denial. And the reason for the approval of the appeal was that there had already been an established pattern of board on board fencing on adjacent properties. And 2511, which is between 13 and 10, has a pool, which was required to have a 6-foot privacy board on board fence.
Gotcha. I further think, though, that we discussed that those properties, even though they're in the same street, they're on, you know, the direct neighbor does not have a board on board fence. And so that was what was causing a little bit of a sticky situation, shall we say. So the new information is helpful. So unfortunately, we have to either accept the appeal or deny the appeal. So I was hoping that the application would be amended. We always have the option to amend the application once we accept the appeal, if we wanted to go that route. But does anybody have a motion on the appeal? Do they feel like there's new information? even though it's not new information, there's new information that we reviewed last time. It technically still applies as new information for this case. Just for the record, even though we heard it last time, it is still new information.
Can I just ask?
Yep, go ahead.
All this information that we just went over, was that available to the original? My understanding is was not available to the original panel. Is my understanding correct?
The original panel was aware of the fences. They were not aware of the specific details related to each of them. So the applicant had mentioned that there were other fences in the neighborhood. And so the panel directed the applicant to provide more information on the addresses in which there were board-on-board fences installed.
Yes, that's a great succinct way of putting it for sure.
Then I will make a motion that there is new information and we should accept the appeal.
All right, so there's motion. Is there a second for the motion?
Second.
All right, I'm not exactly sure who that was. I'm gonna go with Brian. Just
Brian,
so
you
we see
get
his
credit.
Screen lit up. All right, so there's a motion and a second. Reminder that Bruce and Jim cannot vote on the appeal. All those in favor of accepting the appeal, say aye, but hold on, because I think I'm just going to go around the room just in case. It'll be easier. Brian, do you accept do you vote in the affirmative or against the motion?
Voting for the motion.
All right, Elena, do you vote for the motion or against the motion?
For.
All right, Mike B, do you vote for or against?
For.
John, do you vote for or against?
For.
And Sarah, do you vote for or against?
I have to abstain. I was with Bruce and Jim on that panel.
Oh, that's right. That's where maybe you filled in with me, for me. I'm going to vote against the motion. So there's 4 yeses, 1 against, 3 abstentions. Tony, staff, does that accept the appeal?
Yes, the appeal is accepted.
I believe that's
Okay.
accepted.
All right, I just want to make sure before we proceed. So it's 4, 1, 3. We're good?
Yes.
All right. All right, so we'll hear the application over again. I think we have a lot of the information. My understanding of this is I'm all for the board-on-board fence against Lawyers Road. I'm even for turning it around the corner. I think the biggest thing that I remember suggesting, and I don't know if this was ever dug into, and I'm just going to jump into it. Did RA sign this application as an adjacent property owner where a fence is going on the property line? And was that addressed? And did the neighbor sign the property where this is going to be? I guess they're proposing a fence directly on the property line once again, and there's already a fence there. So I'm a little bit confused at exactly how that's going to work and what the plan is for maintenance and our guidelines typically require. So did RA sign this application as an agreement?
RA
No,
did not.
we did not.
Is there a reason why not?
To my knowledge, we have not been requested to sign the application. But also our pathways supervisor, who usually sends a comment to support DRB applications, has been out. So that may have also had a little something to do with it, but we've not been asked as to my understanding.
Okay. And I could be wrong, and I don't know if you guys can weigh in on this, but if you guys are basically accepting responsibility for taking care of your side of the fence if it's on the property line.
Are you speaking to me, sir?
I'm speaking to RA.
Oh, sorry.
Resident Association will not maintain any fence, so.
Okay, do we see, I don't know, I just see this as a conflict because our guidelines say that if it's going to be going on any portion of a shared property line, that they need to sign the form. Does that not apply to RA?
I don't believe we had the situation, but if that is something that you would like us to investigate further, we're happy to do that.
Okay. All right, that was just my comments. Does anyone, John, did you have any comments?
I should also mention, if you're done with the homeowner, Reston Association is an affected party on this application.
Oh, okay. Well, let's hear from the affected party then.
Awesome. Several things. One, the slide 15 shows the properties and the property lines. The owner received approval for an existing board-on-board fence, which is the design on page 26, that borders Lawyers Road. The proposed fence design on page 18 is inconsistent with the existing design. In addition to that, the DRB has customarily always reviewed applications for privacy board-on-board fences and has stipulated that board-on-board fences should be for areas in which the fence borders or the property line borders a public roadway. So in this particular instance, the applicant already has what the DRB has deemed appropriate for 6-foot board-on-board fences. And the existing design does not match the proposed design and style and design. In addition, the signature requirement for the property adjacent was a concern due to the applicant sending the application certified. The applicant did not get the signature of the adjacent property. And the applicant is also proposing basically wing fences on either side of the property, to the left and to the right. And the adjacent property also has a split rail fence, and so that connection would be inconsistent. We understand and acknowledge the concerns related to trespassing or being in a dangerous situation with little children. But we want to make sure that we are consistent in applying the design guideline to all properties of Reston Association. Therefore, the DRB and the applicant, or hopefully the applicant, is encouraged to look at other alternatives that would, one, be more consistent with the design and have a uniform and harmonious appearance, but also address the clearly defined rule that the DRB has had consistently with privacy fences only bordering adjacent roadways.
Okay.
Can I just provide a quick clarification? The photo you see now, again, this is my first time doing this and I get very ignorant. I quite literally just pulled that from their website thinking it's a board-on-board fence, but the plan was to match the existing board-on-board on Lawyers Road. Again, when I was submitting, maybe I should have just taken a photo of our existing fence, but I just went to Carter Fence website and just pulled one. So yeah, that was my bad on that point.
Yes, staff, like slide 26, this is the fence that we typically are looking for.
Yeah. And that was the plan. And again, I didn't clarify this in the application, and certainly my mistake. But the plan was to replicate that fence, that type of board-on-board, not to add to the previous gentleman's definitely correct point, not to add a third type of fencing to what is already existing on my neighbors and my property line.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So after all that clarification, affected partiness, let's go around the room, see if there's any thoughts, comments. Sarah, did you have any new thoughts, comments?
No, none. Thank you.
John, did you have any thoughts, comments?
No, I kind of wondered about the discrepancy between the one photo and the other, but now that he's clarified that for us, I think I'm okay with it.
Okay. Brian, did you have any thoughts, comments?
My only maybe a question is maybe I'm the only one who needs clarification here, but I just want to kind of for Michael from your earlier conversation, could you go to slide 9? I just want to make sure we're all clear that this is showing that they're only proposing to do the fence in the back and then on the front 2 sides, not next to the adjacent property owner that has the split rail fence.
Yeah,
I think
that's correct. Yeah.
It seemed like there was question or discussion about putting another fence in there. Maybe I misinterpreted that.
Gotcha.
I think the
yeah, that makes sense.
application, I think the applicant, just for may have misspoken, but previously that was going, the rail fence was going to be maintained with the existing rail on the side with the neighbor. But when the applicant spoke this evening, they spoke about the whole yard being board on board. So maybe the applicant can clarify what they're asking.
Yeah, of course, happy to. So the design layout you see right now, again, if you look at the green lines were our proposed new locations of the board on board. So yeah, the entire back property line, and then on the left, front left side of the driveway, number 1 or number 3, and then number 1 would extend to our neighbor's property line, but there would be no board on board on the right side where the split rail is. So we just remain as a split rail.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Thank you for that. Yep, go ahead, Elena.
I'm sorry. I was thinking I was next. Brian was next.
No, you're good. Yep, Elena, you're good.
Can I ask a question about, and I needed that, Brian. I was confused as well. The other properties that were approved for a board-on-board fence, do they, their backs are on Lawyers Road, but they're the fronts of their yards, are they required to change them from board-on-board in the front yard? Because when I cruised the neighborhood, it looked like they had board-on-board all the way around their fence. They didn't. It wasn't just along the Lawyers Road. Does any
is that a question for staff or for
staff?
Me,
staff
or...
went back and looked at the ones that were.
What's tricky is there was no found approvals for those locations. Typically,
I thought there was on 10. Number 10 had a 2510 had an approval.
That where the pool is?
No, it was the one.
I believe they had a pool though.
Approved on originally denied, but approved on appeal. 2510 Ferrier Lane, no pool. And it was approved because of an already established pattern of board-on-board fencing on adjacent properties.
The design guideline just says that the fence design should be consistent or compatible with other DRB approved fences in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, typically if someone had a new application that was, coming and there was no fences in the area at all, right? We might ask them in the front of the neighborhood, especially the point of privacy fences that are 6 feet tall in Reston are to block noise from heavily trafficked roads. That's the typical reason. Or if somebody has a pool or something that needs a taller fence. But typically what I would request them kind of in the front yard, it would be the same style of fence, but it would step down in height. So it would step down to a 42-inch high fence or something like that.
Yeah, and sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's totally fine for Mark. I think that's a fair thing. So yeah, just
correct. But let me finish my comment. The tricky part here is your neighbor has a split rail fence, And that's where we start getting tricky, because now we're mixing fence types. And that's where I was trying, last time we tried to kind of work out a happy medium of where we kind of make this transition point in the rear. I understand that rear corner, you can still see the road. So I'm all for, bringing it around the corner, 20 feet, 30 feet, whatever, we may see as appropriate, and then stepping it, down as needed, that would look aesthetically pleasing, and then kind of could transition to the same height as the split rail fence. I think that could be an option. I would be okay with, keeping that same height split rail in the front, kind of where that number 1 is now. Doing the board on board fence, because that is kind of your topology for your house. You want the board on board fence, but keeping it, the same height as the split rail. I think I can, kind of get behind something like that. But I think the key is kind of making that transition a little bit in the back, because it's a fine line of open space and not open space. And then obviously there's the whole issue with the property line and it being to open, RA space. Typically we require an 8-foot kind of buffer if you want to build your fence, and or you kind of need to have some sort of kind of specialty approval, which it sounds like the person who would do that is maybe out. Cam, is that accurate?
At the time of the review of this application, yes, they were on extended timeout. Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So go ahead, Elena.
So I personally think that taking a fence around a corner and then changing it is a lot less aesthetically pleasing than changing at a proper. I mean, then you're going to have 3 changes, right? You're going to have the tall one as it turns around the corner, then it's going to go down, and then it's going to go to split rail. I think that's inconsistent. And I think that I personally have no problem with the rear being board on board, because it is so close to Reston Parkway, because there is the noise issue and the lights coming through the fence issue when cars at night are coming up and down the road through the trees, especially in the winter. I could live with, I think it's kind of weird to step down lower on the Lawyers Roadside, because it's what, like 3 feet or something, 3'1". So I think that if you want the gate to be lower, so it's not as tall as the fence, because I'm assuming there'd be a gate there. But if there's not a gate, I think changing the height there is odd. But I would agree that making it split rail, that portion that intersects between 191 and 192, as the lots are labeled here, that makes sense, because then it is right next to the split rail there. I think in the back, that the change in height isn't that big of a deal. You're going to have to transition somewhere anyway. That's my opinion. But I do agree that it should be lower on if north is up on the east side of the building. It shouldn't be 5 feet, 6 feet tall.
Could I just say why we talked about turning the corner? It's because that was really stretching the rule. The rule is it has to be split rail. So if we're applying the guidelines consistently, it would all be split rail along.
I don't think the rule says it has to be split rail. It says it has to be consistent. We've got guys right across the street who's not back up on Lawyers Road with.
We're open to a wooded area, and we consistently apply split rail in that situation.
Aren't the ones?
Plus, it has to be off the line, the road, the property line, which we haven't addressed in this
Okay, but
application.
if you look at the other, if we could go back to the slide, I don't remember which slide it is, for the plan of the whole neighborhood. Don't know where it is.
Page 15.
Thank you. If you back up so we could see the. So well, again, this doesn't show it, but if you look at it on Google Maps, if I'm looking at it right, there is an easement and wooded area behind 2510, 2511, and 2513. It's narrow, but they all have board-on-board fences. So.
But we also don't have approvals.
Would it be helpful to pull up the design guideline?
Yes, it would. Let's just bring up the design guideline.
Can we stop sharing and pull up the design guideline?
Mm-hmm.
Can everyone see that? So it says solid fencing or style that relates in design, material, and color with the architecture of the house may be approved for limited areas. Sections of privacy fence may be approved for a property line adjacent to a significant visual or acoustical intrusion, such as a major highway, recreational facility, etc.
So that's where I think I was trying to make the argument that we could still say it's an acoustical transition, you know, around the corner. We're kind of bending the guideline already. It's already going to have to change, you know, fence type. Just in my kind of opinion for where we're at. I personally am still concerned about the property line issue. From what it sounds like, the next door neighbor still did not sign the application. Is that what your affected party status was saying, Cam, as well?
That is correct. They were notified via certified mail, but they were not a signatory on the.
But they're not actually. But I guess in his application, he's not actually building anything on that property line. That fence is already there.
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay. So that doesn't apply. It would just be the RA situation.
Right. Well, I mean, just to know if the homeowner built the fence within the boundaries of the lot instead of on the property line, that would not be an issue.
Okay. So they set it in 6 inches. Boom. It would be okay. Roughly, usually.
But yeah.
Okay. Elena, does that make sense with the guideline where we're?
No, I'm still think you're splitting hairs. Excuse me. I think hairs are being split about turning the corner or going all the way to the neighbor's fence. I'm looking at this in Google's map. They're deciduous trees. In the winter, he doesn't have much screening from Lawyers Road on his backyard.
May I just
but
say,
if you make that argument about everything, I mean, then the neighbor could put up a board-on-board fence all the way around their back of their property because they potentially could see the road.
Farther away. He is not the corner lot. I mean, this is the corner lot. It's a noisy lot. They're at the corner of Farrier Lane and Lawyers Road. I think there's a difference.
It sounds like Elena might be making a motion. Elena, do you want to make a motion?
Well, you know, I'm sorry, who's speaking? I can't see right now.
It's Cam.
Yeah. Well, I make the motion and that the rear yard is substantially different and it is adjacent to a significant visual and acoustical intrusion because there are deciduous trees between it and Lawyers Road. So the rear yard can have the solid board-on-board fence to match the existing. Solid fencing on the side to to enclose the area between the existing board and the house. It meets the requirements of a style that relates in design and material and color. Oh no, where is it? Small sections. Should be limited to small sections for specific purposes, and that's to keep a congruous design. And that the other side, the east side, if north is up on the plat, should be either board on board the height of the split rail fence, so it's not a privacy fence, or a split rail fence matching the existing neighbors.
All right, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Just a question on Elena, just to be clear, the 3.1 foot section on the, I guess the connecting from lawyers to the house, you're suggesting that that would be board on board to match the height of the existing fence on lawyers?
It could be lower. I mean, I would have taken amendment that it would be lower if you want. It just seems like a strange place to change the type of fencing, but it's only
Yes, yeah, there we go. Perfect. Thank you.
it's the plat says it's 3 foot 1 inch, 3.1 foot, excuse me, not 1 inch.
Yeah, to me, it's such a small portion. I would keep it the same height. I think it would look silly to drop it personally. But any other further discussion on the motion? Are we
Could I
concerned about
just
the
ask
rear
a cla-
property line?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, with clarification of where the motion is addressing where the fence would be built along the property line.
I mean, if there's an approved setback, we should stick with the approved setback to make it.
Can we say 1 foot, please?
Sure, 1 foot.
So
Sarah?
amending the
Are
motion.
those amendments okay with Sarah, who seconded?
Yes.
And could we also clarify that the height of that fence in the rear, and is that consistent? What level to the existing fence?
I said to match
To match
the height,
of the existing
board on board. fence.
board on board, but so it will come to the corner of the split rail and then at 6 feet. I'm just asking to make sure I understood.
Yep.
All right, the only further discussion I have on the question is, and this is more actually for the applicant, which is probably not great, but is this, if we move it in a foot, we're going back through like a row of trees, are any trees having to be removed because of this fence?
No, actually, they are all, there's one big tree which is not on our property line. It's just beyond. So if you move it back a foot, you're giving it more room.
Okay, great. So there's no tree removal as part of this, and the current
correct.
fence has a step around an existing tree that you guys are going to maintain, it looks like from the drawing. So that'll
That's
stay
correct.
the way it is. Yeah, okay. All right, that was just further clarification. All right, so there's the motion, there's a second. We've amended it to have a 1 foot setback from the rear line. The front left corner of the fence will maintain the 6 feet back to the house, and the front right portion of the fence will be either a board on board, the same height as a split rail, or be a split rail fence. Do we want to leave the option in there with the motion? Do we have any discussion on whether we should just make a determination tonight?
I'm open to either. I mean, if someone has my tendency would be to make it split rail if it were my house, but just it's.
Well, it's your motion.
So I will amend it to say it should be split rail there.
All right, Sarah, do you accept that for the front right portion?
Yes.
All right, so we have a motion, a second, an amendment to the amendment. Everyone understand the motion? All right, so I'll take
Yes,
a
sir.
roll call vote, just to keep it easy. Elena, how do you vote?
Oh, I'll vote yay.
In favor? All right, Sarah?
Yay.
John?
Yay.
Brian?
Yay.
Jim?
Yay.
Mike B?
Yay.
Bruce?
No.
And me, I also vote no. All right, motion passes 6-2. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Take care. Have a good night.
Good luck with that new baby.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya. All right.
I just wanted to,
Staff, I don't think.
I know
Oh,
that
yeah.
he just left, but I wanted to reiterate that final decisions need to be sent before received, before commencing with the work, just in case there is an appeal.
So,
LaShonda can send a quick email to him to remind him of that.
thanks.
Yes, I can do that.
I don't think we have anything else tonight, right?
The only other thing is we'll be sending out emails polling for a potential social gathering between now and the end of the year. So please be on the lookout for that.
Oh, party. Well,
Party.
that sounds good to me. Send away.
Party at Michael's house or what?
Who's hosting?
All right, sounds good. Anyone else have anything else, or anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Good
All
night.
right, thank you guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Appreciate your work.
There you go.
Thank you, staff, as always. Cam, you should have just told me that you were going to talk as an affected party on that application. I could have saved my spiel.
Next time.
So, yeah. All right. Sounds good, guys. All right. See y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.